Hello, welcome to the Skeins of Dreams Knitting Podcast. I'm Megha. I'm also known as Skeins of Dreams on Instagram and on Ravelry. And this is where I come and share all about my knitting and making journey with all of you. Last episode was my 2022 garment roundup. And thank you so much for all your wonderful response on that video. And I did mention in my previous video that I had a lot of works in progress that I have not finished. And I counted, and they're just, let's not count, let's just I'm not gonna put myself on the spot. But there are definitely quite a few projects that I started and lost steam for various reasons, and I talked about this in my podcast a little bit last time. So a lot of you showed interest in looking at my WIP roundup. So here I am trying to talk through all of them, and I think it will help me also decide if I want to continue on something or if something needs to be frogged. So this episode is all about that. So if a lot of projects kind of make you anxious, I'm sorry, but this would not be the episode for you. You can go and check out some of my other videos, but this time I'm going to talk about a lot of unfinished objects, and the hope is that I tackle some of them. Let's be honest, I'm not going to get to all of them by the end of this year, but some of them may just need to be frogged and repurposed for something else. So I'm not gonna waste too much time because there is a lot of stuff to get through. I don't have a specific order in which I would like to talk about these. So I'm just gonna get started with what is the closest to me. So beginning of last year, I got really excited about making a Marie Wallen project. And Nikki of the Knitting with Cat Hair podcast has a Marie Wallen make along going on, and she had it last year and she's continuing it this year, and she's made such beautiful projects, and she's also making as we speak. She's currently working on a lot of projects on at least one. I don't know if it's more than one, Nikki. But I got super excited about it, and I cast on the Sinead pattern. I think it's also called by another name. It was released in the Cherish book that Marie Wallen came out, and it was released with a different name in the Cherish book. But anyway, it is, I started the sweater, but I didn't go anywhere beyond the first half sleeve that I made. And the reason that happened is this is as far as the pattern suggests that we should do color work for, and then it switches to a solid color, the main color of the sweater. But my row gauge is my row gauge is not correct, so the sleeve is not as long as it should have been after the end of the color work. So I kind of got sidetracked because I had to figure out what to do beyond this. And whenever I have to use my head a little, sometimes I just abandon my projects because I don't want to think so much. I want knitting to be like a fun thing I do in the evening. So whenever sometimes I just do this, but I still love this project quite a bit, so I do want to finish it. And yeah, I think I can either just forget about the fact that there should have been more length to the sleeve color work wise and just start using the main color and make more of it in the main color or something. But I might be short on the yardage if I do that. But that is the first unfinished object that I'm gonna start with. It's my Sinead sweater by Marie Wallen. As you can see, this is the basket of all my colors. I had various autumn colors, like fall and autumn colors in my stash, which I put together, and the pattern, they are not the original colors, but I'm changing it up from that. The pattern just makes you change colors while keeping your contrast color the same. So it's a very beautiful pattern, and I do want to make it, but it's just one of those things that I abandoned because it was going so slow, and then I never got back to it. So yeah, so that is project number 1. There are quite a few. And then I have a tiny little thing here, which is my pearl Soho triangle, half and half triangle strap. I started the second one last year. I had bought this yarn, or I had been actually, I'm sorry about that. I had been gifted this yarn by Pearl Soho to participate in the Steven West make along. I mean, they didn't specify the make along. They said you can take it for any project, the yarn. And I was gifted this Pearl Soho quads yarn for this project, for a project of my choice. And I had started the Steven West mystery knit along last year, but I didn't really like it. Like, I had started it and I was working on clue 1 and I was slow, and clue 3 came out and I completely did not like the look of the shawl. So I decided that I would frog it and I would make a half and half triangle strap, which is perfect because it's Pearl Soho yarn. Like, why not make a Pearl Soho pattern, right? So I started that. I mean, this really, I don't know if I would count it as an unfinished project because it just takes so long to knit a half and half blanket. So I don't mind that this is in the background. This is sometimes an easy thing that I pick up when I'm watching TV and I don't want to read a pattern or stare at my like the printed pattern, or stare at my phone or something. So that's another thing. And I might be going really quickly on these just because I don't want this to be like a super long episode. So I'm showing you these projects in various stages, and I will put all the information in the description below, or if you want any specific information, please reach out and I will answer any of your questions. Okay, moving right along. I started the Marit Cardigan last year. This is a design by Scandiwork. I'm sorry, I'll put the designer's name on the screen here. It's a very popular pattern and I got really excited about it, and I still love this cardigan and I do want to finish it. It's just one of those things that the summer came and I didn't want to knit color work anymore and I quit on it. But I'm working on the body of my Marit, and this yarn is, I think, Jameson and Smith Spindrift and Shetland, like 2 bases I'm using. I just bought the colors that I wanted in whichever base, and this is how far I got. Those are my steek stitches, and you're just supposed to keep knitting on the body straight up, and then you do the sleeves and all the good stuff. So I'm definitely going to pick this up this year because I still love the colors and I love how it's looking, and I've made a decent progress on the body. I don't know why I didn't pick it back up. I know why I didn't pick it back up. I was doing other things, but that aside, I do want to get this going. This is one of my favorite unfinished objects from last year, and I really want to get this cardigan done. It'll be such a beautiful addition to my wardrobe. So yeah, that is my Marit cardigan, and I'm absolutely loving my color choices here. Okay, the next project, I'm so irritated that I didn't finish it because I almost have it done. I just have to do like the front and back shaping, and then it doesn't even have sleeves. This is, and now it's all crinkled and looks terrible because I left it in my bag, but this is the Grapefruit Pink Lady. It's a design by Thea Coleman. It's a summer garment, kind of a vest-ish pattern, has beautiful all over lace on it. I used Sadness Garn Lena, which is a linen cotton blend, I believe. And I actually finished like the shaping of one of the fronts. I was supposed to do the second front and then do the back and then kind of just join them together at the shoulders and then do like the ribbing for the neck and just the armhole. So I mean, there is maybe like a few hours of work left on this. It's not that far from being finished, but for some reason I was knitting on this last August, and when I was sick I got COVID and I got all like excited about it. I started working on it, but then I fell sick quite a lot. Like I got really sick and then I quit working on it and then I never picked it up. So that is one of my other unfinished projects which definitely will get done this year. Yep, and sorry for the crinkling, but it's in a plastic bag. Okay, so this one is a gift sweater I'm knitting for one of my very close friends. It is just a plain raglan sweater. I'm using Peace Fleece worsted yarn to knit this. It's in a beautiful bright purple color. I forget the colorway name. I don't know if I have the tag. Oh yeah, I do have the tag, but the color is exactly the portion that's missing. I'll put it on the screen, but this is a very, very pretty color, and it's a simple raglan sweater. I'm making it right based on his measurements. Like I have already measured him and I know how long the body needs to be. I know how much, what is the circumference of the sleeve and everything. And I actually made him try it on because he visited us in October and I made him try it on and it fits perfectly. I just have to finish it and gift it to him. He knows that I do this and my projects are slow, so whenever he receives it he'll be more than happy. But I do want to give it this year sometime so he can wear it for next season. So that's another one. And this one, I actually was working on it during the Christmas break. It's just taking me a really long time because he's a really tall guy and like the body is supposed to be 18 inches, the sleeves are 20 inches each, and the yarn is like thick, so I'm knitting it on US 9 and like larger needles are kind of hard on my hands, so it just takes me a while to knit projects on larger needles, so it's just taking me a little longer. I think I started it in October or November, so it's not the worst of all my unfinished objects because it was started relatively at the end of last year. Okay, moving right along. You might hear me say that quite a few times today because there are so many projects. Then I think you would know a lot of podcasters were participating in the Unspun Heroes Knit Long, where everyone's knitting with unspun yarn, and I had started a project which I really want to finish. It's a beautiful, beautiful project and I just got sidetracked with all the test knits that I keep doing, so I never ended up finishing or working on it beyond how much I had started at the beginning. So this is the beginning of my Big Love cardigan. It's a design by, is it by Ankestrick or Isabel Kramer? Sorry, I always get confused. So I'll put it on the screen, but I'm knitting this in Newton yarn and holding it with one strand of Drops Alpaca. So this is the Drops Alpaca and this is the beautiful Vanessa color of the Newton yarn. So it's giving me this very nice kind of like a spicy orange color, and I really, really like the red, orange, pink vibes, and I absolutely will finish this year. I need to be wearing this next winter. Okay, that was the Big Love cardigan. And then all these knit-alongs that like all my friends, other podcasters host, I really get super excited about them. I cast on something, but then like they're like an added cast on. I have so many other projects going on and they don't get finished. I feel bad about it, but it's just one of those things. And I'm giving this explanation because Rebecca of the Creabea podcast had started the Cone Along last year when she was collaborating with Woolyknit, and we were all knitting with cones from Woolyknit, and I had absolutely indulged in the discount code, and I purchased I think 2 cones of Woolyknit, and one of them was this beautiful beige nep in the merino wool cones, and I started like a raglan sweater for myself. And sorry again for all the wrinkles on it because it's just been lying in this bag for so long. And I would say I'm made decent progress. Like I just have to finish the body and then do the sleeves. I don't know if I have enough yarn to actually, if one cone is sufficient for me to finish the sleeves on it as well, like full sleeves. So I'll just knit the sleeves as long as I'd like. I really love this fabric. I love the color and I love the neps. So this is also something that I really want to like get going with and actually get done this year. So yeah, this was started last March sometime. I think the cone along was like definitely at the beginning of last year. So this project has been pending for a while. Actually, this one I kind of was working on throughout the year a little bit. I kept adding a few rows here and there, so that's why it got done as much as it did, even though it was started in March, and I don't think I knit on it for too many days after I started it. Yeah, that's how it goes with me. I get distracted with other bright shiny things. Talking of bright and shiny, if you remember this sweater, this gorgeous sweater is the Metenis Pullover. It's a design by Xyris Knits. It's a gift for a friend of mine, and I had started this also early last year because his birthday is in July and it was supposed to be a birthday gift, and you know how it goes with birthday gift sweaters. It might be a birthday gift for this July, so it should be at least. The reason I quit knitting on this was this color work is, you cannot memorize it. You have to stare at your chart the entire time. As lovely as it looks after it's done, when you're knitting it, you have absolutely no clue what's happening in the next round because it's a very unique pattern, but it's very beautiful and I love how graphic it is. The black is Cascade 220 Heather. I think it's a superwash. And the green is, I think, it's a Madeleine Tosh color, and I think it's sea glass. I can't remember. There is some color work on the sleeves as well, and then it's like black at the bottom. So yeah, this one needs to get done. I have to finish it and I have to gift it to my friend. Okay, I'm not keeping account of how many things I'm talking about. As you can imagine, the area around me is a complete mess. It's a good thing the cats are sleeping, otherwise they'd be all up in my business here and it would be chaos. Alright, so last year was also like I was focusing a lot on summer projects. So I started a couple of summer projects on a whim, but then for various reasons I didn't like finish them. So this was the Xyris top, and the designer is Yarn Flakes. It's a very beautiful top. It has a very fully laced back and the front is all stockinette. And I started this in this silk yarn from Wonderland Yarns. Hold on, all this yarn hanging about everywhere, but that is the yarn and beautiful summer silk base. It's a very, very lovely yarn and I do want to finish this. The reason I quit knitting on it is I don't know if the gauge is too loose because the lace on the back might become too big for me to wear with just my bra underneath it. It might have, the holes might be too large. So I'm reconsidering if this is the pattern I want to use for this yarn. It's not really making it a very delicate fine lace, but the holes and the eyelets are actually quite large and everything will be visible in the back. So it's a quite open, so it might be the thing that I have to go down a needle size, which I'm already knitting on chopsticks here. Okay, that's 3.25 mm, that's not chopsticks, but I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like knitting it on a smaller needle, so I might have to reconsider the pattern. And After that, I had cast on this black top, which if I show it to you, it might not be properly visible. This is a design by Mini Me Designs on Instagram, and I'll put the name of the top. I can't remember off the top of my head. While it looks really cute on the designer, this is literally the neck on this thing. I think it's supposed to be worn like this. I think that's too big. I won't be able to wear it with a bra without my bra straps showing, and let's be honest, there's no way I can skip wearing a bra. That's not a thing I do around here. So I will also have to reconsider this pattern. The yarn is Barocco Remix. I really like the feel of the yarn. I love the yarn. I do want to knit with it, and it will make a really nice summer top. But I just feel like the summer top I make in a black tweedy yarn should be something like you can easily throw on. It shouldn't be something that I need to worry about what I'm doing with it, whether it's going with what I'm like, you know, with my jeans or skirt or whatever. So it needs to be a little less high maintenance. So this might not be the best option for it. Also, I feel like this will stretch out because of the cotton content this one has. And this top is already huge neckline. I don't want it to stretch out even more. Yep, those were the summer tops that I abandoned. And these were more like, I just cast them on because I felt like, and I was all excited about summer tops. And then when you sit and think about the practicality, you're like, should I really be knitting this? I don't know. All right. So next in line is the Birkin. Now the Birkin has had a long saga with me. I had first started knitting the Birkin in Drama Wool in 2021, and then I realized that I didn't do the pattern update, and I was knitting with the old pattern which was not fitting me well, so I decided to start it with a new yarn, and I started it with this La Bien-Aimée Mondim base, in which was dyed. It's the Mondim base, but La Bien-Aimée dyed it in their caramel color, and it's a beautiful yarn. Everything is fine with this. It's just that I don't know, I just lost steam on it. And there have been some discussions around Caitlin Hunter, who's the designer, and you know, some controversial things that she has said, and I don't know, I just don't feel like it with everything that's been said. So I even considered ripping back to before the color work and using the Tin Can Knits Strange Brew pattern and adding my own color work charts or something, because I really love this combination, and the yarn is of course beautiful, and the contrast yarn is, I think, just Pearl Soho Good Wool in this cream color. So this is one that is like for moral reasons or whatever, I've just not had interest in knitting on it. Though I love the yarn and it's like luxurious yarn and everything, I've just not done anything with it. Okay, next. If you've been watching for a while, you've seen this project a few times. This is the Garter Goodness Shawl by Stephen West, and of course I'm in the middle of a round, and I've actually made quite a bit of progress on it. I'm using Wandering Flock hand-dyed merino singles yarn, and I'm actually really enjoying the way it's turning out. I'm kind of they're not really faded colors, but I'm kind of fading them by striping, and like I'm doing the third color, and the shawl is meant for four skeins, fingering weight skeins, but I'm gonna do 5 because I have 5 colors of the Wandering Flock. I do want to finish it this year because it will be a beautiful wrap or a shawl to leave in my office or something. So this is color 3, Then I have to add color 4, and then is my favorite. I'm really waiting to add this gorgeous fluorescent thing to it. So I am excited about the colors, and I definitely want the shawl. The shawl is very simple, like it's just garter, so very brainless and very beautiful, and this yarn feels like knitting with butter. So I do want to finish this for sure this year. I absolutely love how it looks right now, and it's the only thing with me is that with shawls, I just don't knit on shawls as much as I knit on garments, and so they don't get done in time. If you remember, the one shawl I finished last year was one I was able to finish because I actually challenged myself, and I was doing like 30 grams a day or something like that, and I was knitting on it. But then I did it for one project, but I can't do it for every single project. For some reason, it only works once. Okay, and we are moving fast enough, I think. This one, I was knitting on it just before my trip to India, and I was supposed to finish it and give it to my mom when I was in India. But as I mentioned, my India trip turned out to be so stressful and so much was happening that I didn't get to finish it. This is the Gartergan cardigan by Tori Knits NYC. She's Tori Knits NYC on Instagram. It's a very beautiful garter stitch cardigan, and I'm doing the vest version without any sleeves, and this is out of Rowan Soft Yak DK, which is a cotton yak blend. Beautiful yarn. I love it so much. I love the color. My mom loves the color. I just have to finish. And actually, my mom is coming to stay with us for a few months. She'll be here in March, and I'm pretty sure while she's here I'll finish it. Like, there is no way this is staying undone this whole year, because all I have to do is actually I finished knitting the body before I'm supposed to start. Like, I literally have 2 skeins of this yarn left. So I mean, it looks wrinkled, but it's garter, it will stretch out. So the body is almost done, and I have to do the hem. The hem actually is much longer than usual because it has some short row shaping and everything, so I have to start hem sooner than you normally would. But it's a beautiful cardigan vest thingy, and I should finish it. And if it fits, and once I finish it, I'm eager to try it on for myself, because if it looks good on me, I might make one for myself. Oops, sorry about the crinkling again. So yeah, that was the Gartergan, and I will get it done this year because my mom's coming to visit, and it will be nice to get it done when she's here so she can wear it. I'm sure she'll want to wear something. She's coming in March, and if you live in India and you come here, the spring weather is still very cold for you, so you end up wearing some sort of a cardigan. So she will definitely be cold for the first few months, so it will be nice to actually get it done before she gets here. That's an idea. We'll see. I have literally 2 skeins left to knit of that yarn. That's all the yarn left on it, so I just should get it done. So when I was at the Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival last year in October, I bought this beautiful alpaca yarn from the Purgatory Falls booth. 100% alpaca, no, 80% alpaca, 20% merino. Beautiful lavender color. I got it from that festival, and I actually immediately cast on a poncho. It's a stone point poncho, I think, and I forget the name of the designer, but I cast it on. And though I really want the poncho, I made a mistake. Later I realized I had cast it on in the dark, and I messed up one ridge of my garter. I think I did stockinette instead of garter for one ridge, and it's been bugging me. So I this is a beautiful lace pattern. And I do want this poncho and I love this yarn so much, but that mistake is bugging me. And also I think I made it too wide, so I wanted to rip it back, cast on fewer stitches, and then correct that garter ridge. So that's why this has gone into hibernation. I need to bring it out of hibernation and actually get going on it. But yeah, this was the one of my purchases from the Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival, and I'm really, see, every single project I'm like, I really want to finish it this year. If I knit all these projects this year, I will not be able to cast on anything new, which might not be the worst thing. I will get rid of a lot of works in progress, but you know that's not what will happen. I will need to find a balance. What's left? Oh, yeah. So I had started the Blankets of Dreams make along last year, and one of the projects that I really wanted to get going on was this beautiful pressed flowers shawl. But my plan was to knit 2 of these shawls and then seam them at the long edge to make a throw. Now I still want to do it. It is very pretty. I've made it out of Drops Alaska. It's like iron weight, 100% wool. It's very beautiful, but this mosaic stitch is very hard on my hands. Like, I knit a few rounds on this and my hand starts hurting. So that's why I have been knitting on it once in a while, but not much. But it'd be nice to get some headway on this, because I don't really want to give up on it just because of this reason. I should be able to knit on it, like, I don't know, maybe should do something like every Friday for an hour, knit on it a little bit, so I can get it done at some point. Not saying I need to finish it in a year, but like, you know, it'll be a nice thing to have. It's a very pretty mosaic stitch. But I've heard from some other people as well that the stitch hurts their hand, and especially when I'm doing it on iron weight, it's definitely a killer. So that's the reason that didn't go anywhere yet. And then there is a project I'm working on currently. So I'm still gonna count this as one of my whips from last year because I cast it on last year and I have to get it done this year because it's a test knit. So this is the Semper V-neck sweater by the Knit Pearl girl, Sophie. She's Knit Pearl girl on Instagram. I'm sorry if I'm messing that up because I might be getting her handle confused with someone else, but I'll put it on the screen. So she came out with this very basic V-neck Raglan sweater, and so I'm knitting on it currently. I've joined for the body, as you can see, and I am working on it. And this is one of my current works in progress, so I thought I'd talk about my current ones as well, which need to be finished. This is not necessarily this is not at all an abandoned project. Like, I am currently working on this. The yarn is beautiful Fiber Company Acadia yarn in the colorway Muscles. It's a very nice purple eggplant color, and I am really excited because it will be a very good staple. I think I might be able to wear it with jeans effortlessly, and the yarn is very beautiful. I've knit with it before. If you remember my Reflections vest, which I showed last episode, designed by Heidi Kirmaier, was done in a bright green color in the same yarn, and I have this purple as well. I had in stash, and so when I always wanted a v-neck out of this particular yarn, so when Sophie came out with the test call for this particular simple raglan sweater, I thought it would be perfect. So this one should be done like this month. For the test knit, Sophie only wants us to finish the body and do the collar because the sleeves are the same as her Semper sweater, which is the regular crew neck, I think, not a v-neck. So she doesn't want us to do the sleeves as part of the test knit. So the challenge for me would be I will finish the body and the collar for the test knit deadline. but then to actually do the sleeves. But I know I like it enough that I want to knit with that yarn. The yarn is very beautiful. On the 31st of December last year, I cast on a sweater for the Bougie sweatshirt knit along, hosted by Casey of Young Folk Knits podcast. I haven't made a lot of progress on it, but I am really enjoying this. This is the Naima DK. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but this is the Naima DK pullover by Ankerstrick? Again, I'm forgetting. I'll put it on the screen. But it's a beautiful, simple raglan pullover with like eyelet details running along the raglan. But because of the eyelets and the way they're constructed, the increases are not like a typical raglan increase. It has radial increases as well, which is quite interesting, and it definitely adds interest to the knit. And I love this twisted rib. And this beautiful, beautiful yarn is the Pearl Soho hedgerow base in their fuchsia rose color. This was yarn gifted to me also by Pearl Soho. When they were releasing this base, they reached out to me and they said if I wanted to try it, and of course I accepted. And it's a very, very beautiful yarn. It has some silk content, some cashmere, some wool. Beautiful base. It actually reminds me a lot of the fiber company Aaron Moore and Aaron Moore Light. I did knit with that a few years ago, but this is definitely stronger than Aaron Moore. Like it's thick and thin, but the Aaron Moore was very like, it would break easy if you tug at it too much. This one seems quite strong. So yeah, beautiful yarn. I love it. Love the color. This year, I think my plans for this year are definitely to knit very bold colors. That's my goal. No other goal except for that. Finished projects, of course, that is always a goal, but also knit with bold colors. And I want a red sweater. Like, I really want a red sweater. I don't know what kind. I bought some yarn to make actually the Kerr sweater by Rebecca, which I made for Baljeet last year, but I want one for myself, and I think that will be my red sweater. And I will show you the yarn when it gets here. It's not here yet. I placed an order for it. So, yep. I'm going with the pinks and the reds and the purples, and I want to knit with all bold colors. That's what I'm in the mood for. I think I went through most of the things that I wanted to talk about. I do have one last work in progress I want to show, which was started this year. It was started last weekend, last Friday. Today is Friday, the 13th of January. And last Friday, I got into this really crazy mood and I wanted to start knitting on this sweater. I started it without swatching for it because I was pretty sure that I knew which needle I would get gauge with, and I was not wrong. I did get gauge. The sweater fits me really well because I've already done a fit check, and if you follow me on Instagram, you have seen the sweater, what I'm knitting. So it is the Esther sweater by Camilla Wad, and I am in love with this. This is such a beautiful yoke design. It's a perfect yoke. I don't know what it is about this yoke, but everybody who's made this sweater just looks so pretty. It uses 4 colors. This is the main color, of course. Contrast color 1 is this cream that you start with your contrast color 1. There's a pop of another color, and then there's this contrast color 2. So everything is stash yarn. Everything is yarn which is very precious to me in different ways. I'll start with the main color. The main color is actually Woodsong Farm Finsheep wool. I bought 3 sweater quantities of this wool, of this line or this brand or whatever. one I gave to Mel of Mel Makes Stuff, and one I gifted to Salma of Little Big Knits when we met for the Vermont Sheep and Wool Festival, and the third sweater quantity was obviously for me, and this is the color I kept. This is the Crocus colorway. Very, very beautiful yarn. It's not very uniform, thick and thin in places, but very strong, beautiful dye. Like the color saturation is very pretty. I do have to alternate skeins because it's not very like uniform, but I love it. This white cream yarn is actually one of the skeins Mel gifted us. So she got the Harris Will Designs Daylights skein, one skein each for both of us, and there was another skein of yarn, but this one was gifted to me by Mel. This lupin color you've seen before because I used it in my Burgos vest, and this was part of my yarn swap. Rebecca gave me this, and this bronze, if you remember, or if you can identify, is the same yarn that I made the Kerr sweater for Biljit. So all these yarns are super precious, super meaningful to me, and the sweater looks so good. It looks amazing. I'm so happy with this make. This is my first cast on of this year. If you don't count my 31st of December 2022 cast on for the Bougie sweatshirt gal. So that, my friends, is all my works in progress from last year, by the way. There are still a few projects that have been abandoned before 2022, but I'm not going to talk about those because if they stay long enough in the abandoned state, they will eventually go into the frog pile because that's too long. My size has changed, my choices have changed, so we'll see what happens to those. And I actually did a video last year where I talked about some of those works in progress. So yes, that was everything I wanted to show, and I'll briefly talk about some plans for 2023. I also started a bingo for this year. So I watched Kia from the Kia's Bod podcast and Petra from Knit Inc. Both of them do a knit bingo usually every year. At least just set intentions for the year, decide what you want to do that year and like kind of follow it. I did a bingo last year. I actually finished quite a few of those things. Like I kept track of everything I was making and whether it fit in my bingo plans, and I was using that as a template to decide what to cast on next and things like that. So it was not bad. Like I actually did quite a few things from last year, and I actually put on the screen my knit bingo from last year and all the things that I accomplished. So this year also I set something, I planned a bingo for myself, and my plan this year was usually when I buy yarn, I buy it for a project. Like I'll buy the sweater's quantity for a specific sweater in mind. Sometimes that sweater happens, sometimes a different sweater happens, which is fine. But usually that's how I purchase yarn. So the way I've set up my knit bingo for this year is I either knit that sweater or I knit with that yarn, any sweater, but like kind of put the yarn combination and the pattern combination together. So I'll cross out that box either if I knit with the yarn or if I make that pattern with a different yarn, whatever. So kind of trying to focus on my stash because there are a lot of patterns I want to knit this year that have been in my queue for a really long time but have just not made it to my needles. One of them is Puri Leaves, designed by Donna Smith. I really want to make that. I want to make the Kerr for myself. I want to make the Wear, which is designed by Gudrun Johnston. Sorry, I forget her last name properly. And then I do want to knit from my book by Mayu KP. I forget the name of the book. Contrasts. Is that it? Yes. And there was a sweater in it called Dreamy Road, which is an all-over lace sweater. I really want to make that. So there are a few things that I really have on my wish list for this year, but there are all these projects that I just talked about which need to get done as well. So that's why the focus this year is more on color, like, because whatever I do, whether I make my new sweaters, whether I finish my current whips, I want to knit a lot of color. I felt like last year I tried to, though I knit a lot of colorful things last year, I want to get like really bold with my colors. I don't know why, I'm just in that mood. So that's what I'm gonna do. I think it was because I kind of observed last year that everything that was like kind of beige or silver or like neutral, I wasn't really into those garments. I generally pick out the garments that are quite bold and rich colors, and that's what I wear. I don't know what happened, my camera just suddenly shut down. So as I was saying, those are my plans for 2023, and as you can see now, the light is getting dimmer around where I am. We're moving into the evening, so I think that I'm gonna end it here. The video is also getting a little grainy. I just use my phone to record, and I hate when this happens, but there's no way around it. In the winter, it's like Pittsburgh is not as cold as Buffalo, but it does not have as many sunny days as Buffalo, and that's the truth. It rains here all the time, and statistically I think we see very few sunny days in a year. I knew that when I moved back here, so not complaining, but you know, can't really record. The other thing is, if I use artificial light, it kind of reflects on my glasses, so that's annoying. So I have to find a way of working around this, or just, you know, try and record when it's nice and bright, but that doesn't always happen. So it's a game of balance. I don't know anything else to say about that. Alright, I think I should stop now before I start blabbering nonsense. Thank you so much for watching. If you've stuck around until the end, thank you so much for always leaving such beautiful comments on my videos. I really enjoy reading them, and I've made so many friends through this podcast. It's unbelievable. So thank you so much for all your love and affection. I really appreciate it. And stay safe, take care, and happy crafting. Bye.